The business of professional sports operates as a relentless and unforgiving system. It is not sustained by hope, emotion, or social ideology, but by capital, leverage, and the uncompromising realities of the free market. When negotiating with billionaire franchise owners who ultimately control the structure and future of a league, it is essential to have a precise and realistic understanding of true market value. Misjudging that value, allowing ego, resentment, or entitlement to distort economic reality, can lead not only to a failed negotiation, but to consequences that threaten the stability of the entire industry. As of March 10, 2026, the Women's National Basketball Association Players Association has spent months engaged in a high-stakes and risky confrontation with league ownership and the broader NBA establishment. The union pushed for major structural changes, including significantly higher revenue sharing, fully guaranteed maximum contracts, and additional benefits such as housing support. Public statements, media campaigns, and repeated warnings about the potential cancellation of the upcoming season became central to the strategy. The approach appeared to rely on the belief that sustained public pressure would eventually force ownership to concede. However, that outcome has not materialized. League leadership, under the authority of Commissioner Adam Silver, did not retreat from its position. With the imposed deadline now reached, negotiations remain unresolved. There is currently no finalized collective bargaining agreement, no agreed-upon framework, and no compromise in place. As a result, uncertainty now surrounds the future of the 2026 season of the Women's National Basketball Association. This situation has significant implications for the league's players, including high-profile figures such as Caitlin Clark, whose growing influence and popularity have become central to the league's recent surge in attention and economic momentum. While some observers frame the dispute as a routine labor disagreement over revenue distribution, others view it as a broader internal power struggle within the league's ecosystem. For the past year, mainstream sports coverage has frequently portrayed the Players' Union as a unified and determined organization advocating for better conditions for its members. Leadership figures such as Union President Nneka Ogwumike and Executive Director Terry Carmichael Jackson have been presented as leading voices in the negotiations. Yet, according to various reports and perspectives within the sport, the situation behind the scenes has been far more complicated, with internal disagreements and strategic divisions raising questions about the cohesion and long-term direction of the union's efforts.
They are trying to downplay this letter that came out from Kelsey Plum and Breanna Stewart that makes the higher-ups in the PA look absolutely awful in Terry Carmichael Jackson and Nneka Ogwumike. And with all of that being said, as they've continued to negotiate these past couple of days, they have stopped all public negotiations, okay? Details about the latest proposal never came out. The latest counter proposal from the WNBA to the WNBPA. It's not.
Concerns about transparency within the players' union have also intensified during the course of the negotiations. Reports suggested that communication between union leadership and the broader player group became increasingly limited as talks progressed. In fact, vice presidents of the Players Association, high-profile stars such as Kelsey Plum and Breanna Stewart, were reportedly involved in bringing internal concerns to light through a detailed letter shared with the media. According to those reports, some members of the executive committee did not see a formal economic proposal until January, raising questions about how information was being distributed within the organization. In many corporate or labor environments, withholding key negotiation documents from leadership bodies during critical bargaining periods would likely trigger serious scrutiny. Within the context of the Women's National Basketball Association labor negotiations, however, the situation appeared to unfold differently. As public updates about the talks became more limited, frustration reportedly grew among portions of the player base who felt disconnected from the process and uncertain about the direction of the negotiations. The issue also highlighted the different financial realities across the league's roster. While some established veterans benefit from significant endorsement deals or overseas contracts, many mid-tier players rely heavily on their WNBA salaries. For those athletes, often earning far more modest annual incomes, the uncertainty surrounding the potential delay or cancellation of the season carries serious financial consequences. As the negotiation deadline arrives without a finalized agreement, the broader impact of these decisions is now becoming increasingly clear for players throughout the league.
Okay, here it says the league said that Tuesday, March 10th, is the date a term sheet for a new CBA must be completed in order to avoid a delay in the start of the 2026 season, which is scheduled to tip off May 8th. There's been movement from both sides as the deadline approached, as the WNBA and WNBPA swapped counter proposals over the weekend. But as of Tuesday morning, there's no deal. There's no deal, y'all. Like, let's just be clear. There's no deal. Nothing is.
At this stage, no agreement has been reached. The absence of a finalized deal represents a significant setback at a moment when the Women's National Basketball Association appeared to be experiencing one of the most commercially promising periods in its history. The league had recently secured a media rights agreement valued at more than $2 billion. Arenas across the country were experiencing increased attendance, and corporate sponsorship interest had reached unprecedented levels. Momentum around women's basketball was growing rapidly, and many believed the league was entering a new era of financial expansion. Under those circumstances, the expectation among many observers was that negotiations between the Players Association and league ownership would produce a new collective bargaining agreement that included meaningful salary increases and improved benefits. However, the March 10th deadline passed without a deal, creating uncertainty about the league's immediate future. With no agreement in place, the planned May 8th season opener now faces potential disruption, and several key elements of the league calendar, including the draft and the free agency period, have been thrown into uncertainty. The situation also affects the league's broader development plans. Two expansion franchises scheduled to join the WNBA face difficulties building rosters, marketing their teams, and establishing operations without a clear economic framework in place. The unresolved labor situation has therefore created ripple effects across multiple aspects of the league's structure. From a financial perspective, the dynamics between ownership and players are complex. Many WNBA team owners are also connected to NBA organizations, meaning they are supported by the broader financial ecosystem of the National Basketball Association. Historically, league ownership has absorbed financial losses while continuing to invest in the growth of the WNBA over more than 2 decades. Players, on the other hand, rely more directly on seasonal contracts and league operations for income, which means any disruption to the season can have significant financial implications for a large portion of the athlete workforce. As negotiations remain unresolved, the stakes continue to rise for all parties involved. The Players Association must balance demands for long-term economic progress with the immediate need for stability, while league ownership must determine how to maintain the league's recent momentum. The outcome of these negotiations will ultimately shape the next phase of growth or uncertainty for professional women's basketball.
27th submission, WNBPA Executive Committee Kelsey Plum said the league's offer marked a significant win amid negotiations. Okay, and she said it was a win, but you have people in the WNBPA slamming the offer, which is why we all knew that they weren't on the same page, and they just keep confirming it the more they speak publicly. Okay, they are not on the same page. They are not aligned. They are not all in agreement. Okay.
During the negotiations, some players reportedly viewed the league's proposal as a meaningful step forward. One of the most notable voices in that discussion was Breanna Stewart, who publicly suggested that the financial framework being offered represented a significant improvement compared with previous agreements. From that perspective, the proposal included substantial increases in compensation and benefits, leading some players to believe it could serve as a strong foundation for moving forward and focusing on the upcoming season. However, not everyone within the Players Association agreed with that assessment. A more hardline faction within the union argued that the offer still fell short of what they believed the players deserved, particularly given the recent surge in attention, investment, and commercial growth surrounding the Women's National Basketball Association. As a result, the proposal was ultimately rejected, prolonging the negotiations and deepening divisions within the player community. The disagreement highlights a broader debate within the league about strategy and long-term goals. Some players appear willing to accept incremental financial progress while maintaining league stability, while others believe this moment of heightened visibility and revenue growth represents a rare opportunity to push for more transformative economic change. Amid these tensions, the rise in popularity of stars such as Caitlin Clark has also become part of the broader conversation about the league's future. Clark's rapid ascent has brought unprecedented attention, television ratings, and fan engagement to the WNBA, prompting discussions about how the league should capitalize on this momentum. While some commentators speculate that internal rivalries or generational shifts may influence the debate, the central issue remains a complex labor negotiation over how the league's growing revenue and visibility should be shared among its players and stakeholders.
And then from there went to 26, like 1.5%. Like it's been ridiculous, and everybody's trying to capitalize. They're trying to eat off of Caitlin Clark and the same fans that they attempted to push away, but they want to eat off of them. They want to make all of this money. You got vets who want to make their last coin on their way out. Okay, as Angel McCoughtry said, and that's just what it is. And unfortunately,
if the ongoing labor dispute continues without resolution, several players could be significantly affected, including rising superstar Caitlin Clark. As one of the most visible and commercially influential figures in the Women's National Basketball Association, Clark's presence has played a major role in attracting new audiences, increasing television ratings, and generating heightened interest in the league. Any disruption to the season would therefore not only impact the broader league structure, but also pause the momentum surrounding one of its fastest-growing stars. For many years, veteran players have been central to building the foundation of the WNBA, shaping its culture, leadership structure, and competitive environment. However, the rapid rise of a new generation of players has introduced fresh dynamics into that ecosystem. Clark's emergence from University of Iowa women's basketball into the professional ranks has been accompanied by record-breaking viewership numbers, major endorsement opportunities, and a surge of new fans who are engaging with the league for the first time. This shift has inevitably sparked broader conversations about generational change within the sport. Established veterans helped build the league during periods of far less media attention and financial stability, while younger stars are now benefiting from and contributing to a rapidly expanding commercial landscape. As the league negotiates its next collective bargaining agreement, these evolving dynamics between legacy leadership and emerging stars are becoming more visible. If negotiations remain unresolved and the season is delayed or canceled, the consequences would extend beyond the bargaining table. The league's media partnerships, expansion plans, and overall growth trajectory could all face setbacks. At the same time, players across the roster, from established veterans to rising stars like Clark, would see valuable time on the court and potential career opportunities placed on hold.
The outcome of the negotiations will therefore play a crucial role in determining how the WNBA balances its historic foundations with its rapidly growing future.
But the fact of the matter is, you guys weren't communicating well enough. You weren't getting people the proper information. You weren't getting people who are board members the information that they were requesting. You ignored the fact that you had a bunch of players saying they can't afford a lockout. There was players who went in an ESPN interview anonymously and said that they felt the WNBPA was being greedy and selfish. So I don't know how you just blame the league for this and take no accountability as the higher up.
Criticism of the Players Association leadership has intensified as negotiations remain unresolved. Some observers argue that union leaders have deflected responsibility by accusing the league of attempting to divide the players while overlooking internal tensions that became public earlier in the process. Reports about internal letters and concerns raised by players, including leadership figures such as Kelsey Plum and Breanna Stewart, suggested that disagreements within the union itself were already emerging. At the same time, several anonymous players reportedly expressed concern about the financial risks of a potential lockout, particularly those who depend heavily on their seasonal salaries. As negotiations move forward, the balance of power between league ownership and the Players Association remains a central issue. The league's ownership group, supported by the broader financial structure of the National Basketball Association, has historically maintained significant leverage in these discussions. Under the leadership of Commissioner Adam Silver, the league may ultimately present a final framework intended to resolve the dispute, though the terms and outcome of any such proposal remain uncertain. If the two sides cannot reach an agreement, the possibility of delaying or canceling the upcoming season of the Women's National Basketball Association would remain on the table. The uncertainty has also raised questions about how different players might be affected. High-profile stars such as Caitlin Clark have developed substantial global visibility through endorsements, media appearances, and international competition opportunities. Partnerships with major brands like Nike and Gatorade, along with national television exposure through networks such as TNT Sports, mean that some athletes have diversified revenue streams outside of league salaries. However, the WNBA itself also benefits greatly from Clark's popularity and the surge of fan interest surrounding her arrival in professional basketball. Her games have consistently drawn strong television ratings and sold out arenas, contributing to a broader surge in attention toward the league. Because of that dynamic, many analysts believe the future of the WNBA depends on successfully balancing its veteran leadership, emerging superstar talent, and a new generation of fans who are discovering the league for the first time. Ultimately, the outcome of the negotiations will determine whether the 2026 season moves forward as planned or faces significant disruption. The decisions made in the coming weeks will not only affect the players and owners directly involved, but could also shape the long-term trajectory of professional women's basketball.